game ended the way nobody wanted it to for Cardinals fans. Jason Myers drilled a 52-yard field goal as time expired, and the Seahawks walked out of Arizona with a 23-20 win. ESPN.com. ESPN.com. If you watch the box score, you'd see a tidy little line that hides a chaotic, weird, borderline cruel finish. Seattle led 20-6 late in the fourth, then Arizona stormed back. Kyler Murray engineered 2 late touchdown drives to knot it, and for a few heartbeats, it felt like the Cardinals had pulled off one of those improbable comebacks. Instead, a short, poorly placed kickoff after the extra point changed the whole script. Under the NFL's new kickoff rule, kicks that fail to reach the designated landing zone are treated like an out-of-bounds kickoff. And Arizona's short squib put Seattle on the 40 with a miracle-sized gift and 28 seconds still on the clock. Seattle took 2 plays to get into field goal range. One more, and Myers' foot decided the rest. CBSSports.com. Let's be blunt. That rule, designed to reduce high-speed collisions and increase player safety, also introduced a discrete game management grenade. Teams used to think in terms of touchbacks and returns. Now they have to think about landing zone depth and the clock effects of short kicks. In this game, the cost was literal. The Cardinals' comeback effort evaporated not because of a blown coverage or a turnover on offense, but because of a special teams detail that the kicking team and the officiating/competition framework have only recently been wrestling with. Plenty of smart people will argue about whether the league miscalculated trade-offs between safety and the integrity of end-of-game tactics. This was the first high-profile example where the rule's effect looked determinative. Inca, Clinkield, on the field, the Seahawks made the plays they needed when it mattered. Sam Darnold managed the comeback sequence with calm. His late connection to Jaxon Smith-Njigba moved the chains into range, and the Seahawks offense executed a short, efficient final drive that led to the kick. Seattle's defense, which had been dominant much of the night, did wobble late. Arizona gained momentum and had multiple big plays in the fourth. But the defensive front also produced pressure throughout the game, and those earlier defensive stops built the lead that gave Seattle a path back after the Cardinals rallied. Field goals. For Arizona, this is a maddening loss you can point to 3 ways. First, personnel and protection problems bit them all night. Murray took heavy, repeated pressure, and the Cardinals had a hard time sustaining drives until the fourth. Second, there were objective, game-altering miscues. The short kickoff, a couple of dropped or bobbled opportunities earlier, including a crucial bobble that turned into an interception, and penalties that extended Seattle drives. Third, the emotional toll. To rally from 14 down and have the finish decided by a special teams technicality is the kind of loss that saps belief and fuels social media fury. That outrage isn't just about the players. It's the fans, ex-players and pundits arguing whether the new kickoff protocols are worth contests being decided that way. Revenge of the Birds, coaching and clock management will be dissected for days. You'll hear the usual Monday morning questions. Should Arizona have run a different kickoff scheme? Did the Cardinals have a return plan? Was taking the extra point rather than going for 2 in that moment the right call? Context: teams usually kick the extra and take the chance of a kickoff, but the landing zone rule is a new variable. On the Seattle side, Pete Carroll and staff will take credit for keeping a professional calm and scheming the minimum plays required to put Myers in range. Credit where due. Kickers win you games, and Myers earned every bit of that moment. Seahawks.com. The ripple effects are immediate. Arizona's special teams coach is going to be under an intense microscope, and the front office will reevaluate kickoff strategy and kicking personnel. Accuracy and distance matter even more now. For the Seahawks, the win masks some late-game vulnerabilities. The D allowed life in the fourth, and the offense sputtered at times. But they also showed resilience and clutch execution. That's a playoff-style win. Ugly, noisy, and decisive. ESPN.com beyond X's and O's, this game will feed a larger conversation about rulemaking. The NFL's safety-first approach is sincere and important, but policies that materially alter the endgame need a higher tolerance for testing and nuance. The league can absolutely reduce dangerous high-speed returns while also protecting the competitive fairness of finishing plays, but only if it keeps iterating. Expect former players, media voices, and coaching staffs to use tonight's finish as Exhibit A for either tweaking the landing zone measurement, adding referee discretionary language for end-of-game situations, or adjusting the penalty spot rule so a human official can make a judgment call when a kick barely misses the zone. CBSSports.com. If you were watching as a football purist, you felt both the elation of the comeback and the sting of the theatrical, borderline arbitrary finish. If you were a coach, you filed 3 lessons. Practice your emergency kickoff return plan. Prep a 2 or 3 play endgame package for any short field. And most importantly, teach players to expect the unexpected under these new rules. If you were a fan, well, buckle up. The NFL's safety experiments are changing game mechanics in real time, and teams that adapt quickest will harvest the advantage. Tonight, Seattle did. Arizona, heartbreakingly, did not. What if I told you a 28-second mistake, not a blown coverage or a late turnover, decided Thursday night's NFC West game? That's exactly what happened when the Seahawks walked off the Cardinals on a 52-yard Jason Myers field goal after a kickoff that never reached the landing zone. Seattle's defense set the tone early, holding Arizona to 1 measly first down in a huge chunk of the game and forcing turnovers when it mattered. Kyler Murray never quite found a rhythm, and Marvin Harrison Jr. had a brutal first-half drop that turned into an interception, a moment that swung momentum and put the Cardinals on their heels. Meanwhile, the Seahawks quietly did the ugly work: pressure up front, tackles in space, and just enough offense to stay ahead. The third quarter looked like Seattle was pulling away. Zach Charbonnet and A.J. Barner delivered drives that put points on the board. But Arizona refused to die. With James Conner out for the season, the Cardinals' comeback felt like it was coming from sheer will. A fourth-down circus catch by Michael Wilson, a gritty inside screen to Greg Dortch, and finally a touchdown with 28 seconds left that tied the game and forced the Seahawks to receive one last kickoff. Here's the twist. Under the new kickoff rules, the play that never reached the landing zone is treated like a kickoff out of bounds. That gives the receiving team much better starting field position. Suddenly, Seattle was at their own 40 with time for one quick drive. Sam Darnold hit Jaxon Smith-Njigba to the Arizona 38, 1 run to set the spike, and Myers drilled a 52-yard game winner. Boom. Game over. There are 3 big takeaways from this chaos. First, special teams are back in the conversation. The revamped kickoff rule was designed to increase returns and safety, but it's now directly shaping outcomes. Short or miss-hit kicks aren't just mistakes anymore. They're game-deciding plays. Second, Seattle's defense earned this one. They made Arizona look uncomfortable for most of the night and held in the moments when the offense sputtered. Pressure, discipline, and a couple of timely turnovers built the lead that ultimately survived the late drama. Third, Arizona's season just got trickier. Losing James Conner is massive, but the bigger worry is the offensive inconsistency. Harrison's drops, Murray's timing issues, and special teams miscues are fixable, but they have to be fixed fast in a division this tight. Final thought, football has always been a game of inches, but tonight it was a matter of seconds and one awkward kickoff. Seattle escapes with a 23-20 win, improves to 3-1, and gets a much-needed boost. Arizona walks away stunned, and probably rethinking every kickoff plan they own. If you love wild finishes like this, hit like. Tell me in the comments, was that a luck play or did Seattle earn the win? Subscribe for quick recaps and the post-game fallout, because in the NFL, every rule change writes the next headline.